And welcome back to another episode of Cats Cup Podcast. You're here with Christian, Cody, and Justin. What's up, boys?
Buddy, just living the dream.
Heck
Cody's in
yeah.
his own world right now, man.
He's getting it. He's
What
getting
song is playing in Cody's head right now?
Whatever that theme song for Kentucky is, I can't remember what
it. I'm pretty sure that's like
I think we should just make an edit of us doing that.
I'm down. I'm down.
I am down,
We can
too.
get at it. We can get at it. But you know, we had
I'll support y'all in it. I
Oh,
got you
Justin, we gotta have you dancing too.
No.
But this past week we had the first loss of the Kentucky season, and then we also had a very big win over Gonzaga. Yep. So I feel like we should talk about the Clemson loss because we should talk about the bad before we get to the good. So
The bad and the ugly.
on Tuesday night, we played Clemson at Clemson. We fell to 7-1, 70-66. Guys, what did you think about that game?
I mean, I was disappointed in a loss, but I wasn't really 100% shocked that we lost that game. I mean, that's a lead 8 team coming back this season, and and it being an ACC, their first like road game in that kind of environment and atmosphere. So, for me, I wasn't really shocked. I guess I was just between that and the first half. Getting a little bit ahead of myself, but between that and the first half of the Gonzaga game, I'm just get so like disappointed with Kentucky basketball fans and just being unrealistic. I mean, that's just me. Like, we're going to lose. There's going to be games. There's going to be town. Just suck it up and deal with it. It's not something like we need to fire the coach. We're getting out coached and all this other junk. I mean, my goodness. I mean, most of these people post this stuff. They've never played basketball. They never coached basketball. They've never done any of that stuff. And it just drives me insane. So, but I guess, as far as us losing to Clemson, I wasn't totally shocked that we lost. I just wish there was some guys that just really had bad games that I really wish could have played better in that type of environment. Andrew Carr had a bad game. He did make it a big time against Gonzaga though. So, but overall, I mean, I wasn't really shocked that we lost. It's a learning experience for them, and just you dust yourself off and move on. And I think they did that fairly well.
Yeah. I think we just shot really poorly. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Yeah, barely. Oh,
We back?
there
We're
you
back.
go.
You back.
You're
Yeah,
good.
it unplugged on me. But one thing I noticed was the free throws. Like, we weren't hitting free throws that efficiently. I mean, 61%. I mean, it's still good. I mean, you're hitting over half of them. But in a close game like that, that's where it comes down to the wire. Like, had we hit just 4 more free throws, we hit 11 out of 18. Had we hit 4, we're pushing overtime. Who knows if we actually win in overtime like we did against Gonzaga. But, it felt like in that game, Clemson was just out. They were just more physical than us. Yeah. And down the stretch, it just, that point guard, I can't remember his name now, but Dad called him what was it? A Q-tip. Dad called him a Q-tip. And it was like he was never get a foul call on him. Like, they were not calling anything on him. He went the whole game without a foul. And I was kind of shocked at that. But, not here for the excuses. I mean, they were just out physical in us, and we just were not hitting shots. Like, 25% from 3.
Clemson didn't have an answer for Lamont Butler. They had zero answer for him. And the moment that he got in foul trouble plus hurt his ankle, I mean, that really affected the momentum for us on our side as well. And just like you said, Christian, not making excuses, but truth's truth. I mean, you have Butler in longer there in that second half. I mean, he could get to the basket anytime he wanted to. I mean, they could not stay in front of him. And of course, his defensive pressure is just phenomenal. Probably, in my opinion, the best defensive point guard in all of college basketball. So for me, that was a huge factor in that game. And Kirk Kriisa, I mean, I like his tenacity and stuff, but in that Clemson game, I think he was a negative 21 on the floor. I mean, it was Think about that. A
Yeah,
negative
it's
That's
one
pretty bad.
on the floor during the Clemson game. And when you look at that, you're like, man, that hurt when you got Butler out and he's running point and he's not making shots and he's turning the ball over and making ill-advised plays. I mean, in that momentum. Now he stepped it up against Gonzaga before he got hurt. I mean, he hit 2 or 3 threes. He made some good defensive plays. He did fairly well. But against Clemson, man, it was just once Butler went out and he came in, it was just not a good flow during that game. But of course, you've got to give these guys some grace to have some bad games from time to time. They're not going to have a perfect game every game, so I get that. Uh, but yeah, that was a huge factor.
I feel
See,
like it being the first away game. I kind of figured that we were going to play poorly, not as bad as I thought we would play. But you think about we played bad against Western. We didn't shoot very good, So I said obviously it was either going to go we were going to shoot really bad or we were going to shoot really good, and obviously we didn't shoot really bad. We shot really bad. But if you shoot really good in that Clemson game, you probably beat Clemson by 15, 20 points if you're shooting the 3 ball like you were at the beginning of the year.
Well, if you've noticed between Duke, Gonzaga, and Clemson, all 3 teams, we have not shot the ball well between all 3 teams. When you've got a better defensive teams and better coaches who will scheme their defenses better to run you off the 3. Again, getting a little ahead of himself, but when you look at Gonzaga, Coach Pope made such a huge adjustment to get the ball to the rim and drive, hit floaters, get to the basket, and that adjustment made a difference because their 3-point shot wasn't really falling in that game either. Mm-hmm. But you can live by the 3 and die by the 3, as the saying goes. But if the 3's not falling, get to the rim, get to the free throw line, get some type of rhythm in those types of situations, and it'll definitely make the difference. So you just got to be able to adjust. I don't feel like we did that against Clemson, but we definitely did in the second half against Gonzaga, of course. So yeah, that's a huge difference. I don't think that we're going to shoot, 25 to 32%, from 3 against every tough, defensive team in the SEC and stuff. I don't think that's going to be a consistent trend, but they've just got to make those adjustments when they're not falling and just critical. I also think, I've said this before, I say it again, man, Amari Williams, Brandon Garrison, they cannot be in ISO situations going from the top of the key to the basket. It's turnover, it's bad shot selection. If they are doing a pick and roll, going to the basket, and they're right there 5 feet from the rim, good things happen. But when they're outside and it's dribbling, trying to create their own shots, it causes a lot of turnovers and chaos too.
Yeah.
What's that? That's one thing at Clemson game. How many turnovers did we end up happening against Clemson?
12.
That was a major thing reason we lost the game.
12 to 8.
And they scored, 8. I'm pretty sure, on most of those turnovers that we had. I think they scored on most of them. Yeah. And I felt like we got out rebound, but when you look at the stats, you really didn't get out rebound that bad. It was almost right with each other. I feel like that one white boy was getting the ball every time they shot the ball and it didn't go in.
The guy that looks like he was from Nickelback.
Yeah.
That dude, man, he shot 3 after 3 after 3 and was like building a brick house and a half, man, for Clemson. They couldn't. I don't even know why he kept shooting, that one dude, but gosh, it's terrible. It reminded me of Cody Green back in the day, and he was trying to pop 3. I'm just kidding. I'm just gonna start yelling at the TV if the other team, if their guys missing 3s.
Stop shooting like Cody. That's ridiculous.
I'm just gonna be like, there's Cody out there.
When it's a brick, instead of like saying Kobe, you say Cody. Cody.
I like it.
And I also felt like they had. It felt like they wanted to win a lot more than we did. They were a lot more aggressive at the rim.
They had something to prove.
They used the ball, or used the ball. Let me find a different word for that. They were a lot smarter with the ball than we were. I feel like we didn't pass the ball very well, and we weren't moving as much as we usually had been like the past beginning of the games, especially Duke. But that Clemson game, I feel like we were not on it, whatever, almost.
Yeah.
But that Clemson team did not deserve to be unranked whatsoever, though. Which they're ranked 16th
No,
this week
yeah,
now. But man, they have no business. They had no business being unranked going into that game. I mean, that's a decent team. But you know what? You just live and learn.
We got comments as bad ball movement, so fire Mark Stoops. I like it. But one thing I was noticing looking over all the stats of the Clemson Kentucky game was how poorly our stars shot from three. Like Jackson Robinson was 2 for 7, Owe was 1 for 5, Brea shot 50%, but he was 1 for 2, and Kirk Harrison was 0 for 4.
Hey, let me say, he actually stepped up in a big game when we needed him. Jackson Robinson actually played when we needed him to, and that made me really happy seeing him. It made me happy seeing him take over when you know he can do that. It made me happy seeing him be able to do that.
So John Hammond says, one thing I loved about this game was the adjustments. Pope went to a zone and had Mark Few confused. Calipari would have never went to zone. Pope is a genius when it comes to breaking down film and advantages. Folks don't understand how big of a genius this guy truly is. I agree.
Yeah.
It was really wild that they would go 1-3-1 and then fall back into a man after that. I mean, that just created so much confusion for Gonzaga. Yeah. It really did. I really liked that. I mean, to be honest, I don't recall of ever seeing that before from any team, really. And so for me, I think that was awesome. I think that was outstanding.
Yeah, for sure. But what's one thing you guys took away from the Kentucky Clemson game? And then we'll go to the Gonzaga game.
You know, the stats don't 100% show it, but I think you know, they just out hustled us, as Cody said. I think that was the big thing, and we kind of shrieked back in that moment. But Butler not being on the floor to finish that game was huge in that type of, because they wasn't in a setting where Jackson Robinson was going to be running point and trying that out and seeing how that went in that game. I would have been interested to see how that went in that game, but especially the way Kirk Reese was playing. Like I said, he had a negative 21 in that game. So, for me, I think that I would just wish Butler would have been healthy and stayed out of foul trouble and would have been more present in that game. That's really what stood out to me. Here's the thing, guys. Clemson and Gonzaga both, Kentucky made the same amount of threes. They were 7 for 27 in one game, 7 to 25 in the other game. So it wasn't like, they shot bad from outside both games. But you've got to have that tenacity to be able to finish strong. So,
yeah. John with another great point. He said Clemson proved to me that they were physical. Clemson had the blueprint to how SEC teams are going to be. Tennessee is physical. Georgia's physical. Auburn has length and size. It's going to be even harder on the road.
Oh man, the SEC teams right now. I don't know what they're on right now, but it's like it seems like they're all playing good. Like, you think about this top 25 that just come out today. You have to play the number 1, number 2. Florida is now number 9. You have to play them. I think Ole Miss is in there.
Alabama's
Mississippi State,
7th.
Alabama's 7th. I mean, the SEC is not a cupcake walk this year. Like,
we had 5 of the top 10 teams in the AP polls. 5 of the top 10.
That's crazy.
So,
yeah. Oh, John, love the articles, by the way. Just figured I'd tell him.
Yeah.
Love the articles.
But I think Lenardi is predicting that we would have 12 teams from the SEC in the playoffs this year, so in March Madness. So that's crazy.
Yeah. Cody,
Clayton is a stud. Yes, he is.
He is. Cody, what's one thing you took away from the Clemson game?
Turnovers. Obviously, I said that. Turnovers. And like Justin said, just got out hustled. Didn't look like we really wanted to win the game as much as Clemson did. And I feel like we really just couldn't get into a good rhythm. Felt like wasn't shooting the ball really well. And I felt like our defense wasn't as good. But like just said, Butler got into foul trouble, and that really hurt us. Not saying anything bad about Kirk Caruso or anything, but just having your best defensive player not on the floor hurts.
Yeah.
And by the way, prayers up to Kerr, man. Hopefully he gets healed up in his foot really quickly. I know he's got a broken foot, and they said he's going to be out 3 to 6 weeks. So
yeah. But before we go to the Gonzaga game, I do want to say I know this is going to sound horrible, and at the moment I hated that we lost. But after looking back at it a few days later,
probably good.
I think it was the best time to lose a game, if it makes sense, because not only is it not in conference, you're getting on the road against an actual well-coached team, physical, like you said earlier, Justin. They made a good run in March Madness last year. So you actually got to see how the conference sort of kind of is going to be when you hit the conference play. And it's better to drop a game against like an ACC opponent than an SEC opponent. It's kind of like when it comes down to the nitty-gritty on like where you're going to get placed, how the rankings go, an out-of-conference loss doesn't look as bad as a conference loss. So this game prepares you. John, going back to that point, great point.
That's what I was about to say.
I mean, gets you kind of ready for that. So, but we'll run into that Gonzaga game. But first, why don't you guys run on down to Cumberland Auto Rentals? Whether you're looking to rent a vehicle or on an insurance claim or planning your next vacation, Cumberland Auto Rentals is here to help you. They are proudly serving the areas of Ewing, Pennington Gap, and Harlan. You can reach them on Facebook or call at 276-861-2710. They're open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and Friday, 8 to 4. So, yeah, go check out Cumberland Auto Rentals. Go see Justin.
Yeah, man. Justin's the best.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I like what John said down here. He says another thing about Lamont. He's a huge guy to go drive and get to the rim, like him and Otega.
Yeah.
Them two. I feel like them two. If you give them a lane to go to the rim, you're not stopping. They're so strong with going to the rim. Like I would love to see a little bit more of that out of Williams. I feel like he fades away just a little bit when he's trying to do his hooks, but I'm not like I'm an expert at that, but just saying. Just the Cody. No.
Cody.
No, I really do like that they are really strong going to the rim and being really good playmakers for the team, making everybody around them better.
No, thank you, John. You're great. We appreciate you for hopping
in
man.
Here. Hey, you all got a good podcast too. I love your all's podcast.
Sir, for sure.
I got a nice one too.
But going to this Gonzaga game, I ain't gonna lie. We did a live reaction. I came in like a few minutes late.
And suit and tie, man.
Yeah, I was suit and tying it at first. But that first half, man, I ain't gonna lie. I was a little worried. Like, just in that game, I wasn't worried about, like, long-term coaching, for Mark Pope like some people were. I mean, me and Cody, we made a few jokes here and there because we just like to make fun and joke around. But, it was just like we were just getting Justin's face. But it was like we weren't being efficient with the ball, and we really didn't have that guy to step up. Yeah,
that goes into like not being in a good rhythm. I felt like at first half, I don't think we knew what we were doing half the time.
But there's no way that Gonzaga was going to keep that up the whole game. That was the worst. This is one of the worst offensive teams Coach Hughes had statistically. And so they were not going to keep that up. If they played every game for a full 40 minutes like they did the first half against Kentucky, they will go undefeated the rest of the season, and they would win the national championship. But they're not going to do that, And so I think it's a game of runs and momentum. And so, Gonzaga's not going to keep that up the whole game. Even sitting there watching it, I was kind of aggravated watching the first half, but I knew like, okay, this game's not over with yet, Yeah. And I knew it wasn't, and that's just what kills me is because everybody, Kentucky fans they just live in the moment, and it's just going down. The ship is sinking, going down in just a minute. I mean, it's just it's between Fire and Pope. He can't coach. He's getting out coached. Drives me nuts.
We need to hire Mark Stoops as our basketball coach. Anybody in favor, say aye.
Fire him.
No,
fire
but
him from the
I
basketball
think
team.
like
Mark Stoops, get him out of here.
No, I feel like at first half, like John just said, Nembhard, I think he probably could be one of the most underrated guards in the country. But I think Graham Eichel is the one killing us in that first half.
Yeah.
I mean, he was handling Amari like it was nothing, and Brandon got in there and just couldn't do nothing with him. But if you notice, like that second half, Ike didn't do nothing until the last couple minutes. He had no points, never scored in at all. They had shut him down. And that what is that? Mark Stoops is living on a prayer. No, but I felt like Pope being the coach that he is. Now let me just go ahead and say this. I know everybody said it. Cal would not have made those adjustments. We probably would have been beat by 30.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just say that.
If we played Arkansas right now, like in this very moment, we would beat them by 25.
Yeah,
100%.
100%. Are they ranked? Are they unranked right now?
They were I think they're unranked. They were ranked, and after they lost to Illinois, they were unranked. I don't know 100% if they're ranked this.
After I see Kentucky on there, I just kind of stop looking. I just like to look where they're at. But doing that without Lamont was pretty solid. I liked how in the second half, me and Cody kind of talked about this a little bit. I think Saturday night, Sunday morning, whatever you want to call it, the adjustments with Jackson Robinson, he went to that, he played a little point after Kirk Rissa went out, and the way he stepped up in that second half, because I know he was 1 for 8, 1 for 9 in the first half, and he ended the game 7 for 15, 2 for 5 from 3, had 18 points. So, I mean, the way he stepped up in that second half, it's kind of like that guy that we expected him to be going into the season. So that was a big half for an OT for Jackson.
And that's what Chris just said. He said no Lamont, a half without Kerr, and if Robinson plays guard like that the rest of the season, he's going to be one of the best guards in the country. Now,
no doubt.
And like the Duke game and the Clemson game, he was quiet. I think he had 1 point in the Duke game.
He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't aggressive at all.
Yeah.
He wasn't put in a position where he had to be aggressive.
Exactly.
And that's a difference. But if you've got him at point, that I know he's not comfortable with running point guard, but I don't think he had a turnover that I can think of during while running point during the game.
He didn't have a turnover the whole game.
Yeah, I mean it just and that's so important. But that he's 6'6", so if he's 6'6", and then you've got Brea out there too. I mean that's just incredible length. In your 1, 2, and 3. Makes a huge difference. But he was driving and getting mid-range jump shots and floaters, and so that was huge offensively for Jackson in the game. Very, very huge.
Hey, just off topic a little bit. You guys want some good Christmas gifts? Man, go get some Cats Cut hoodies. We got Cats Cut hoodies. Ain't nobody really bought them. We got shirts. We don't got hats anymore because our guys at State Line, we love them.
Phoebe wants Cats Cut bandana there, Chris.
Hey, I want the bandana. I'll buy a bandana. I'll wear it.
Okay.
We got to work on that.
We'll see.
I'll model for it.
Your
I'll
people
model
work
for
on
it.
that.
Yeah, well, I can get my people to start working on that.
Can Phoebe model?
We'll get the
Absolutely.
Cats Cut creative group.
We'll get Phoebe and Sadie. They'll model. And me.
We'll get the creative group.
Because I'm a dog, obviously.
Gina just said Arkansas is not ranked, so we're correct there.
Good.
But one thing I did notice, Kobe Brea probably had his worst game as a Cat. 2 for 9. I mean, he still ate on the board, 7 rebounds. Like I said, he is awesome rebounding for a guard.
Good rebounder.
He's a solid rebounder. He goes after the ball, and he knows where it's going to land at. So even though he wasn't huge in the scoring column, he did step up with the boards.
But here's the thing, too. Here's the thing, too. Brea is not getting the looks against Clemson and against Gonzaga. He's not getting the looks. And when Butler is not penetrating, getting to the basket, and not freeing up those outside shooters and stuff, that is huge. If you've got to be able to mix up your game, and if you're not getting able to get to the basket and kick it back out, that's hurting the shooters. But these guys, I mean, Coach Few and these other coaches, I mean, they're going to be smart enough to know how to guard Kobe Bryant, make sure he doesn't get any of those open outside looks. So I mean, I think that is a big part of that too.
Chris just brought up, he said, go big. I'm adding something in because I haven't been this excited about Kentucky basketball in forever. We actually have a X and O coach, so I'm going to say go big, blue. I love this team and coach.
No, I agree with that, dude. Like, I feel like the way Cal coach was like, we're going to get in these big time freshmen. We're going to let them play. I draw up a couple plays, see if it works out.
And Frank, Kentucky is hungry, and to see them come back like they did show they want it bad and are able to change what's not working.
100%.
That's good. Hope you're doing better, man. Frank. Hope you're feeling better. Praying for you. But yeah, great point. Yeah, they are. I love it. I love this team. We needed Kentucky basketball.
Yeah, we had to have something good after what happened.
I've not been this excited about a Kentucky basketball
there.
Do you guys think we have Rick Pitino 2.0, or do you think Pope will be better? Hot take section.
Ooh, better.
Think he'll be better? Okay. No,
I don't know. It's easier for Justin to answer. Hold on. It's easier for Justin to know because he kind of has watched Rick Pitino coach more than we have.
No, okay. That's why I was going to change it.
I'm not calling you old. I'm just saying.
That's why I was getting ready to change it. Do you think he will have more national championships than Rick Pitino?
So I'm going to say yes.
I will say yeah.
I'm going to say yes. Couple things. Had Pitino never left Kentucky, you would put him in the same tier with Coach K from Duke. I mean, I think they'd be right there. I think, with all time, just all wins, greatness, all that, he would be right there with him. However, I could see Coach Pope being our coach for a very, very long time.
Yeah, because he is younger.
I just see him there a very, very long time. The fan base loves him. Lexington loves him. How could you not love this dude? And I think he's just so so smart. And I mean, he's got an offense that really flows in the game today. He's just an incredibly smart dude, and players buy into his system. And his recruiting is already, in my opinion, off the charts, for next season. And then he works that transfer portal. I mean, it's just, I think that in the long run, he's going to be very successful. And I believe, I'm going to say due to longevity, I believe it will be better.
Now, sorry, I zoned out for a second. I'm sorry. Do you think in the next 5 years, how many championships does Pope win in 5 years? Or no, we'll do 10 years. Do 10 years.
If he has one with a few Final Four runs, I'll be happy.
I think he's got to win one in 10 years.
That's what I said. One with a few Final Four runs. If he gets one within the first 3 years, I think he's past where we thought he would be.
I think he gets two.
In the first 3 years?
No, not the first three. Like 10.
He said 10 years.
Oh, no, yeah. I was saying, like, if he gets one within the first 3 years, I think he's got, further than we thought he would quicker.
Yeah.
So
4 Final Fours, I agree.
I think he could legitimately get at least two in a 10-year stretch.
Okay, here's a better championship appearances. Because, winning the title's huge, but getting to it, what do you think?
Man, March Madness is just a different animal, though.
And everybody's good now with the portal.
Yeah.
I really like what Chris just said. He said, he played for Pitino. He learned from him and gained his knowledge of the game. He is smart enough to be a doctor. He is a surgeon at the game. Give me 3 championships in 10 years. I agree. I like that 3. And then nobody said on YouTube. He said Pope will win one in his first 5 years. I could see that.
If he gets 3 in 10 years, they're going to build him a statue. They might name it.
We might as well
Pope
just
Arena.
That's not happening.
Pope Arena, baby. I'm here for it. No, they build a dome on top of the arena and call it
Pope
Dome. What do you think, Justin? You like it?
I like it. I will stamp my approval on it, good sir.
It could be the Pope Center instead of the.
I did see a stat earlier that said that only Rupp was the only other coach who had won like the first 2 games against the AP top 10 at Kentucky, and they're those. So I thought that was pretty impressive too.
So is it saying? Is that either saying that he's going to win a bunch of championships?
March Pope. I love that. March Pope.
I like
we need a T-shirt that says March Pope. I want a March Pope T-shirt. I want one. I'm gonna figure out a way to have March
We should
Pope.
go find every calendar everywhere, and when it hits the month of March on the calendar, we have a picture of March Pope face.
Can we have March Pope and then make stickers and just go put them on the gas, like where you pump your gas, just put them on all of them.
March Pope.
Put 2 on, March Pope on all of them. Like
I'll drive all. We got to see him in March 1st. I mean, still
no, I don't care.
March
Pope.
We would be having a much different conversation today if we would have ended up like losing by 15, 20 points there Saturday.
Oh, 100%. I'd be the fire. Right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No.
Get rid of the team. Fire Pope. We want Rick Pitino back. Come on. Bring him back.
Do you remember what year was it? There was Cody and Landon made me call into some podcast. They were doing like post-game coverage, and they gave me the phone number. Let me see if I still got the video. I might play it.
He basically called in because they were talking about, this was a couple years ago, and they were already talking about getting rid of Cal.
It was after we lost to Kansas State.
Yeah. And Christian calls in, and we tell him calling. He's like, and he's with
I was over at Shelby's house.
Yeah, you were with.
And I call in. I changed my voice. I said, "Boss, I think we need to bring back Patina." And I kept saying it, Patina. And they were like, "It's a prank call, but he has a point." No, because I said Patina wouldn't let this lackadaisical offense go on. He would have us winning national championships. And they didn't. One of them didn't find it so funny.
No, he was being a little too serious.
Yeah.
I also like Coach Pope's coaching style too, the way he communicates with the players and things. Mm-hmm. I do respect that because he approaches it from more for edifying, building up, that type of thing too. You don't really see him like going hardcore, breathing down somebody's neck when they mess up. He goes with a kind of a mentorship and just with like a knowledge, self-control approach, and I do like that myself. Especially in the way players are today, I think that works.
Yeah. We got a comment that says, "What's louder when Arkansas comes to Rupp, boos or the crickets?"
I don't think it'll be quiet.
I
think half the arena is going to be booing, and half of some of like the older people they're going to cheer on him. But the younger people are going to boo him. I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like people from the age group of 50 and up are going to clap and cheer for him, and then if you're 50 and down, you're booing him. I'm booing him. I'll boo him from here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we speaking of that game, we're gonna do a live reaction of that game. I've not talked with you guys yet about that.
Oh, I don't care. That's fine.
No,
I'll do it outside.
It's gonna be pretty cool. The idea, we got to work all things out with it, but it'll be a pretty cool idea.
Because we don't afford tickets to that game. Have you seen tickets for that game? It's crazy.
It's a crisp $1,000 set up top. Ain't no big deal. Though.
I mean, before fees, I think nosebleeds where you're actually in the rafters.
If you work for Cumberland Auto Collision, I mean, you got the money, Justin. Just get us some tickets.
No comment.
That's joking.
So, what do you guys do? Okay, I know we're getting off topic a little bit, but Arkansas comes in and we just blow out Arkansas.
We will.
Just no relent, 40-piece them.
We will. It's gonna be one of those Tennessee games. Like at one time, we walked in for like $15. Like $15. We paid $15 for both our tickets, and we set up nosebleeds and beat Tennessee like 110 to 60 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Me and Christian, because we were just in Lexington. I was like, "Oh, let's go to the game."
Yeah, we got tickets for like $12.
Yeah, we'll just go to the game.
Yeah.
No, I think he will beat Arkansas pretty handily, though.
I think the first half will be tight.
Yeah, I think so too. And they're going to get better, surely to goodness, because they don't look good right now, in my opinion. What I've seen of them, but I mean, I think Kentucky fans should somewhat honor him when he comes back for his first game back. But I think these past 5 years or so has just left such a bad taste in people's mouths. He's going to be booed by probably everybody.
Majority. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. But man, it's just so fun being a Kentucky basketball fan right now.
It is.
It really just brings joy. Like, what do you think our record, if we were still under the past regime, what do you think our record would be right now?
We would have lost to Duke. We would have lost to
I think
Clemson again. We would probably lost to Western, and we probably would have lost to Gonzaga.
I think 5-4.
I agree with that. Because we at least lose to one cupcake team.
Yeah.
And
Western really ain't a cupcake team.
No,
they're not really a cupcake.
Yeah. But just my opinion.
Okay. But what would one thing that you would like to see coming up? Because we got Louisville next Saturday. I know we got a game Tuesday. I got to look and see if we play Tuesday. I'm blanking on it right now because I've been looking at that Louisville game all week.
We play Colgate Wednesday this
week.
I think.
Yeah, we play Colgate. But, I'm more of a Crest guy anyway, so Cats by 90. But, yeah, I think that Louisville game's going to be pretty hyped up. Now, just Kentucky fans getting that revenge.
Now, Chris, do you go to the Tennessee games? You said you're from Knox, Tennessee. Do you go to the Tennessee games when Kentucky goes down there to Knoxville? I'm assuming you probably do when you have a chance. I've still never I wanted to go watch Kentucky play there. Would love to.
Did you not go? No, you didn't go.
No, because I wasn't invited.
You were. You didn't want to go or something.
No, I wasn't invited.
You were somewhere or something because you were invited originally and you didn't go.
You sound bitter, Cody.
I am mad.
Cody, I don't play games without asking you to go, so I don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
that's false.
I think I've been to 3 or 4 games at Thompson Bowling because those are the only tickets I could afford to go watch Kentucky.
Now, the only time that I've been to Thompson Bowling was when we went to Ramp. Or what was that? Not Ramp. Winter Jam. Winter Jam.
Yeah.
I've been to one game at Rupp and one game at Thompson Bowling, and both the games were Kentucky versus Tennessee.
The only game I've watched Kentucky win at Tennessee was when Tyler Eulis was running point. That's been the only game I've seen them win there. But
that's right.
I think that we'll beat them both times, beat Tennessee both times here in the regular season. Yeah, I do. I think they got a good team, but besides Baylor, they've not played anybody so far, and Baylor really ain't doing that good anyways. That Chaz Lanier is an incredible shooter. He's pretty much Dalton Connect 2.0, but I think that I will say Butler versus Ziegler at the point is going to be a really good matchup.
That'll be a fun one.
That's going to be a fun matchup. That's definitely going to be a fun matchup. But the one scary, that we play against the SEC is probably going to be Auburn. That's going to be a good game.
I think
I'm glad it's at home.
Yeah,
I'm glad the Florida game's at home.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of our tougher SEC games are at home.
Yeah, because we got
you got to go to Bama. They come to you also.
So you've got two kind of cupcake teams before then. I mean, you got Colgate this Wednesday. You should win that one pretty handily. And then you got Louisville, Ohio State, Brown. Not the Cleveland Browns. Brown University, I guess.
It's probably about the same outcome anyways.
Yeah. Florida, yeah, no doubt. We do have Jameis, so it's fun. It's fun losing right now. So we got Florida starting off the SEC, and then we go to at Georgia, at Mississippi State, then A&M at home, Bama, at Vandy, at Tennessee, then the Arkansas game, then at Ole Miss, at home versus South Carolina, Tennessee again. Then we go to Texas, then Vanderbilt, then at Bama, at Oklahoma, then Auburn, LSU, and then at Missouri to end the season.
Oklahoma's doing pretty good to start.
That's
the
kind
season
of a gauntlet to end.
I think they're ranked 13th, if I'm not mistaken. Oklahoma is, and let's see, so they're pretty good. And then of course Missouri beat Kansas yesterday.
Yeah. So as it sits right now, to end the last, I want to say 10 games. I mean, you're playing 5 top 20 teams as of right now, and that could change.
We've got as tough a schedule as anybody when it comes to here, towards the end of the season. But I think that's good though in preparation for March Madness. So, you just got to take it.
Yeah, no doubt. But we is there anything else you guys want to say about basketball before we transition? Talk about the sad sport.
We can skip the sad sport if you want to. I've enjoyed talking about
it. We got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. I got to complain a little bit.
Well, before
you go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Before you complain, we did not give a shout out to Carr during that Gonzaga game either.
Yeah, Carr played a heck of a game.
Carr played amazing in that second half. He did great. But one stat I was looking at was Mark Williams only had 3 rebounds the whole game.
Yeah,
and you
got to have more.
You got to have more, man.
If you're 7 foot, right at 7 foot, you should be getting at least minimum 5 to 7.
Cody called him Ike. I think the announcers are calling Ike, but
is it Ike? I didn't know. During the live, we all didn't know if it was Ike or Ike or.
Well, we really couldn't hear the game.
We also couldn't see the game.
Yeah, we couldn't really.
Well, yeah, I'm watching the game like.
That's all good. But he had like 11. He had like 11 rebounds. So
was that Amari Williams? Oh, that was Carr. Never mind.
Yeah. But
shout out to Andrew Carr for stepping up big. Jackson Robinson stepping up big, and Kirk Carissa too.
Like I said, hopefully he's not out 6 weeks.
Yeah. So I mean, if his foot's fractured, that kind of happened. That's what happened to me. Was that kind of same thing?
Let me tell you the energy he breaks out too. I know we're trying to go to football, and I'm really trying not to get us to go to football, but
I am too.
I love how this guy breaks his foot, passes the ball, and then runs down to play defense with a broke foot. Awesome is that?
That's a man. That is a man. That's just.
And then he had a seizure on the floor after a huge play on defense. He had a seizure.
So
I love that.
Since you're saying a man, all I want to say is when I broke my foot last year and I threw the game-winning touchdown.
These crutches are so stupid. These things.
Dude, I guarantee you Shelby carried you out. You was weak.
I guarantee. No, I got called being a wuss because I couldn't walk on my foot because they were making fun of me. Come to find out, it was broke. This is how you know it's bad is when I go to the doctor. That's when you know something's bad wrong. Because I don't go unless I have to.
I understand.
So, but, going into football, just going to highlight a few portal players and new recruits. So, outgoing into the portal, we have Dane Key. I wish. I wish Stoops was
Coach is going to the portal.
Dane Key, wide receiver. Keyshawn Silver, defensive lineman. Cortland Ford, offensive lineman. Thank God never mind, I'm just going to be quiet for a second. Kamari Anderson, tight end. Javonte Brown, linebacker. Avery Stewart, defensive back. Walker Heimbach, long snapper. Tommy Zemer, defensive line. Barryon Brown. Anthony Brown-Stevens, both of them are wide receivers. Jordan Dingle, tight end. Chip Trainum, running back. And then just about an hour before, or 2 hours before the pod, Gavin Wimsatt entered the portal, and this is all as of 12/9. So if you guys listen to this at a later date and you hear us talking, and you see other guys enter the portal, but we do have 2 that are declared for the NFL draft: Deion Walker and Zion Childress. I would say you'll see Dumas Johnson declare for it here in a minute.
Both of them are Panthers. All 3 of them.
I don't think you guys would pick if you guys were picking Deion. I don't think you guys would pick
Deion's probably he may fall in the second round.
I think he'll go late first, mid first. I think
we're trading up. I think we're getting Travis Hunter, and then we're gonna get Deion there at the beginning of the second.
You guys are gonna pick some guy that nobody's ever heard. You guys are gonna draft a punter in the first round.
Travis Hunter.
You're gonna draft. You guys are gonna get confused.
Travis Hunter,
a guy named Hunter Travis.
Long snapper. We do have a guy named Lamar Jackson on the team.
We had him for a minute.
I know. And we got Michael Jordan on the team, actually.
That's funny.
Michael Jackson. Sorry, Michael Jackson.
But we do have some. Honestly, the recruiting class that we still have, I was shocked to see that they still signed. What's up, Cody?
This is going back to basketball. I'm sorry. I just seen this on Twitter. Do you know that the last national championship, which was UConn, do you want to know what they were ranked week 6? What were they ranked? They were ranked 5.
Oh.
What's Kentucky ranked right now?
5. History repeats itself.
It does.
The only thing that aggravates me about the rankings is Duke being ranked 4th. I think that's just ridiculous. I think it's just so stupid.
And they were arguing. Like Duke fans on Twitter were arguing. Like, whoa, they lost. Did they lose to? Who'd they lose to? Kansas.
Us.
I thought they lost to Kansas too.
No, I think they won.
They actually beat Kansas by 3 because
that's right.
got kicked out of the game for his stupid kicking that dude in the face.
And they were saying the Kansas win was a legit win, and they just lost 2.
And then of course Kansas lost to Missouri. So
Creighton, they lost to Creighton before that.
Yeah,
so they lost 3. Dang.
No, they lost 2.
They lost 2.
They lost
in a row. No, that's not. I'm talking about 2 in a row. They lost to Creighton and Missouri.
I was meaning on the year they've lost.
Oh 3. Yeah, they lost 3.
Yeah. But Duke's lost 2 games, and I mean they have no business being in the top 5.
No,
whatsoever. Yeah. None. Period.
If anybody, I think Marquette should have jumped us.
Yeah, I can see that.
However, I can't remember the guard's name for Marquette, but he's solid. He's really good.
But going back to football for a second, I'm just going to list off all the recruits real quick. I was kind of shocked that we kept a lot of these recruits. Cody can kind of vouch for that too, because I really thought we were about to lose a lot of these guys that we got to stay.
Wish we would have kept 2 other ones, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, that one.
Those 2 hurt really bad.
Those did. But getting one of these guys, I'm going to talk about him for a second when I do say his name. So right off the rip, we got Andrew Purcell, cornerback, Martellus Carter. He's a safety. Michael Skinner, tight end, Javon Campbell, defensive line, Cedric Works, edge, Darren Stray, offensive tackle. That is my favorite pickup of this recruitment class so far.
Who?
Darren Stray. He's an offensive tackle. He's big. He's about 6'8", or 6'6".
From Pawpaw, Michigan?
Yes, he is insane. 4-star tackle. What we needed. He could grow into a huge tackle for Kentucky if he stays. Then we got Cameron Miller, wide receiver, Brendan Ward, quarterback, Stone Saunders, quarterback, Kentucky boy, Montavian Quisenberry, wide receiver, Quentin Simmons, wide receiver, Preston Bowman, wide receiver, DJ Miller, wide receiver, Jameel Adkins, offensive tackle, Jaden Clark, offensive tackle, Brian Augusta, offensive tackle, DeMarcus Gardner, defensive back, Dylan Williams, defensive back, Granton, defensive back, Kalen Edwards, defensive line, Nicholas Smith, defensive line. So in the trenches, we got quite a few kids.
Yes.
The defensive line should be pretty solid next year.
Now let me tell you that I think one of the players there. There's 2 of them, Bowman, Preston Bowman, and I think Stone Saunders. Now they say I have no hate on Cutter. But I think if you go get a quarterback out of the portal, if Cutter don't start, give Stone Saunders a red shirt. Stone Saunders will be your starting quarterback his freshman red shirt year.
He's insane, actually.
I don't know if you all know this, but he is now after the state title game, which I'm pretty sure they won.
Mm-hmm.
He is now the all-time leading passer. Is it New Jersey or Pennsylvania?
It's Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. He is all-time leading passer in Pennsylvania. Touchdowns. I think he's close on rushing touchdowns. Guy can do all of it.
So,
he is in the portal.
Yep, he just entered about 2 hours ago. But yeah, I'm excited for these young cats that are coming in. Recruitment. I mean, that's honestly, I was kind of shocked we kept about all of the 4 stars we got. But going to the people entering the transfer portal, Chip Trainum, that one kind of shocked me a little bit because of how Mark Stoops talked about how he was going to be back next year, pretty much. Talked about how he was going to be used in the offense, and him and Wilcox was going to run the offenses. And now he's gone? Huh? What?
Well, yeah.
I just
3 backs, 1 quarterback.
So we've lost two of our big wide receivers. Technically, I mean 1 and 2.
Yeah.
We got Jamori Macklin. He's staying.
Lost 2
That's
tight
big.
ends.
2 tight ends, which
that sucks. I know you're getting Michael Skinner and you have Josh Caddis, but Kamari Anderson, I hate that we lost him. I thought he had a lot of potential.
I think that was Chip Trainum. That was on that. But go ahead, Cody. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just saying. I think that Jordan was. I think he was better than Caddis, but I hate losing Kamari Anderson. I felt like he had so much potential. He was going to his junior year.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big body receiver, and I feel which kind of scares me a little bit with Michael Skinner coming in because Michael is not a blocking tight end whatsoever. He is a route runner. You've got to get him out in the flat, and we don't use our tight ends. I'm shocked that he committed. He was number 1 tight end in South Carolina, top 5 tight end in the country. I don't know why he committed to us. I don't know why any tight end commits to us. I know Vince Marrow, he's got connections and everything, but that's one thing I always hate that we've not done is use our wide receivers enough. I feel like those check down routes work every single time. Yeah, they work every single time. Because especially with the offensive line you had this year, you should have been doing that every play.
Yeah, and you hit them in the flat,
and it would have opened up a lot more. But we're not going to get into all last year because that's over with. And
I mean, even in if you did that block and release type stuff, and they hit the flat, I mean, you're going to have your receivers having these DBs going because usually your linebackers are going to stay kind of more in the middle of the field.
See, and I think that's where if you're Mark. I think you go get a quarterback that is able to not only handle the pocket pressure, but is also able, I give you an example, and this is not just because I'm biased, but get an improviser like Bryce Young. Get somebody like Kyler Murray that can get outside the pocket and is smart enough to know what to do with the ball.
You know who I think we should get?
Not Jameis Winston.
You know, I think we should get
Sean Watson.
No. Cody Green.
Me.
No, this is actually a guy that hit the portal.
FIU's quarterback.
No, we should get General Booty. That is an actual quarterback in the transfer portal.
I know.
No, I don't think Justin believed it.
Oh,
that is an actual quarterback. He played at Oklahoma 2 years ago. He hit the portal. He went to I don't even remember what school he went to.
We just need to be able to have a quarterback and retain him for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
We just need a solid quarterback that we can retain for 2 years, and we need a line that can protect our quarterback so they don't get killed and get injured and all that mess. And I mean, I feel like we're consistently, do well defensively. It's just that line and offensive line and quarterback. For me, that's really all I care about.
He went to Louisiana.
Another guy just hit the portal about 30 minutes ago. Brandon White, wide receiver. So he just hit the portal.
See, that's a guy. That guy, Brandon White, dude. He is a speedster.
He's a guy. We
never played him.
Yeah, he was a gadget guy.
Him. Why do you not use him on kickoff returns? Now I understand you got Barry on back there, but who was the other guy that was back there with him all the time?
We had Macklin.
I would have had Brandon White back there. If you're wanting speed and having the ability to get touchdowns off of kickoffs, I don't know. That's just that's your coaching. That's bad on him. There's a lot that's been bad on him. Why we have him, I don't know. I'm not going to get into all that.
Yeah. But three guys that I think Kentucky should go after in this transfer portal. One of them's offensive lineman, one's a wide receiver, and one's a defensive tackle. It's Hunter Zambrone from Illinois State, bigger guard. He's a 4-star in the portal, so he's pretty good.
Tyler Mercer. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Malachi Coleman, wide receiver from Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
He's a 6'5", think he's 210, 215, somewhere in there, so a big body receiver. I know a lot of people are trying to say we should go after that kid from Bama. I just don't see him coming here. I would like to see him come here, but
you talking about Nikhil Bertrand or whatever?
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember his name exactly, but I know he's a bigger bodied receiver.
Speaking of Bama, do you feel like they got robbed of the playoffs, or do you feel like they deserve to be left out?
No. I feel like that's
I would like to know the conversation between Nick Saban and the entire coaching staff at Alabama, because he walked in there. Hey, boss, get out here. And he had a little Davy cake and a coffee in his hand. He's sitting in like a porch swing in front of the hole. He's just rocking back, just kind of calm at first, and looks at him, just rips into them all. You're tearing down what I built over the last 20 years in 1 year. I can't do a Saban impression, but it had to be comical for the outside people.
Oh yeah.
I just is there like a limit of how many games in the SEC that they have to play an SEC conference team? Is there a limit? Because I feel like they just beat up each other so much. You look at the beginning of the season, probably 6 of the top 10 was SEC, but they just kept beating each other. And so, Ole Miss, which Alabama did it to themselves between Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. They did that to themselves. But South Carolina, they lost to Ole Miss and Alabama earlier in the season. But I feel like if they were in the playoffs, they would do much better than,
Well, you got to play. You have to play 8 conference games. But, every once in a while you get that luck of the draw where you really don't play anybody. And since adding Oklahoma and Texas, they're doing it kind of different. Like, you had to lock in who your rivals were. So, like, we used to play Missouri every year. We don't play them every year now, so we'll play them once every, I think, 3 or 4. Texas, we won't play them every year, but we play them next year. So, you're going to have, like, a gauntlet probably 2 out of 3 years, but that 1 year you won't have the gauntlet, or 2 every.
I just don't think there's any excuse, going forward, that there's not at least 4 SEC teams in the 12-team playoff. But, of course, SMU losing to Clemson in the title game is what hurt another SEC team getting in there. But still, to me, I think you got to at least have a minimum 4, in my opinion.
I get it, though. The SEC did kind of beat up on each other. But, this year it was a little different. You had, Alabama lost to Oklahoma and Vandy, like we were talking about earlier. And so, you have these teams that are usually pretty much powerhouses of the SEC that lost a few more games, like Georgia. They had 2 losses.
Well, you look at Kentucky football. This is the first bowl game we missed in how many years? But
7, 8.
7. But look at the difference. We had more SEC teams on the schedule. Usually we have 4 or 5 teams that we play, each. We had a lot more games that you could say cupcakes or non-conference games in the past few years in football than this year. And with more SEC teams on our schedule, that just, that killed bowl chances and everything, of course, too, for us. But you look at the teams that could actually be in the 12-team playoff. If you've got less SEC games, playing against each other, they'd be more subject to have more teams in the 12-team playoff. But I don't know. Yeah. It's just so stacked throughout that conference. There's a ton of teams, but there's just so many good teams in the conference. I don't know. There almost needs to be something there for football going forward, because I know it's definitely like with South Carolina, Ole Miss, teams like that, it's definitely left a bad taste in their mouth, and I don't really blame them. So this is my opinion.
I think for next year, I don't think this is right. There's no shot that's right.
What is
it? It shows 2025 Kentucky football schedule. I don't know if this is right. because it shows Toledo week 1, Eastern Michigan week 2, Tennessee Tech week 3. Oh, no. I'm sorry. These are out of order. I'm sorry. So it says Toledo to start off the season, Eastern Michigan the second week, then Tennessee Tech week 3, Louisville the last week of the season, and then we play at Auburn, at Georgia, Florida comes to us, Ole Miss comes to us, Tennessee comes to us, Texas comes to us, at South Carolina, and at Vandy. So we're pretty much just flip-flopping the SEC schools we played last year.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen every 2 years.
I don't like that. I think that's so dumb.
I mean, I get it, though, because, I mean, you're going to get to play teams you normally don't play every year. Because, like, well, how many times have we played Bama in the last, 20 years? Like, twice, 3 times?
Three or 4 times, yeah.
So, be cool to see. I mean, we get to see Texas come up. That would be cool. Never going to see them play. So that's another SEC school we get to knock
I
off
just hope we can actually win games in Kroger Field next year. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Would be awesome.
What do you think we go in the SEC next year? Like actually don't say some just.
I think it's too early to make that call right now.
No. Just way too early prediction. I'm going to say we win 4. No, 3.
2.
List the SEC teams we play again.
Auburn, Georgia, Florida, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas, South Carolina, and Vandy.
South Carolina, home or away?
At South Carolina.
I would say we'll probably win 3 SEC games next year.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe, and that might be a push. I guess it just really depends. It just really depends what they do in the off season. I guess really. I mean, it's really just hard to tell.
You got to pray our offensive line gets better. If we get a stout offensive line, like if
I can't remember when we've had a good offensive line. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just
2018, 2021 was pretty solid.
It's been a few years though, man.
When we've got to have
a good line.
That was a solid line. 2022 was okay.
It should be priority. It should be absolute priority for transfer portal recruiting, all that. But
I think they were really relying on building block Jagger Burton to really step up this year at the guard play, and then Cox out there on the left side, Marquise, whatever you want to say. They really thought he was going to be.
Well, the thing about this transfer portal. There's so many, and I don't know when it opens. I can't remember the day when the transfer portal opens. While you're doing that, there's already so many good offensive linemen. I want to name you 3 because I was looking. That's why I've not been talking. There are 3 guys I think Kentucky should go after. There's 2 of them that only have 1 year eligibility.
It starts today.
You can commit.
Opening college football transfer portal opening day update on players who have entered the latest transfer portal. Let me see. Yeah, I think it opens today. Transfer cycle begins Monday, December 9th, when the portal officially opens for FBS players and staffers nationwide are bracing for the crazy.
Now I will say, Mark Stoops said something about being serious.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Wolford still our offensive line coach? Now, I'm not going to get into it. That should have been the first fire. You shouldn't have let your wide receiver coach go first. Should have fired Wolford. Soon as everything's ended, it was the first thing I would have done. There's a Texas A&M offensive lineman who's got 1 year eligibility. I'm not even going to try to say his name because I can't say it. Carver Willis, he's an offensive lineman at Kansas State, and then Tyler Mercer, he just entered the transfer portal. He's from North Texas. He was an All-American this year as a freshman and true freshman All-American as a center. I feel like a center is something we have not had a long time, and I feel like the last center we had was Luke Fortner and Drake Jackson. Now, you look at those offensive lines when we had Luke Fortner and Drake Jackson, those have been the best offensive lines that we have had. When you have a good center like that, a center that knows, because the center is the leader of that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a good center, and like I'm saying, like Drake Jackson here, they probably had the best offensive line in the country. That was like with Landon Young, Logan Stenberg. And that group was absolutely phenomenal. The Luke Fortner. You had Darian Kennard. You had Darren Rosenthal as a left tackle. I wish he would have stayed another year.
Oh, if he just stayed another year.
Eli Cox was playing guard, and he was a sophomore, and he was an All-American. Like, man, like if you can get you a good center, like this Tyler Mercer guy is perfect. He's got 3 years of eligibility left, maybe 2, depending on if he comes with us or where he goes, how good he's going to play. I'm assuming he's probably going to only have 2 years the way he's been playing already. But there's some, and then like going to wide receiver, Creed Whitemore from Mississippi State, who was a former 4-star. He's got 3 years of eligibility left. He is a guy, and I've watched a little bit on some of these guys. I feel like one thing that we've struggled with, especially last year, we could not catch the football. And I think you have to go out and get a guy that is that safety route, that is that safety blanket for you, that is, he's going to catch the ball. And if you run a little hitch route about 7 to 8 yards, you're going to get that 8 yards if he's open, because he's not going to drop the ball. And then I like
Barry on commit to LSU.
What? Did he?
I just looked on 3 to look at like transfer portal stuff. And then it shows like Gavin Wimsatt, transfer portal, and then it shows Barry on Brown, 4-star. It says last team Kentucky, and has the point. It says new team LSU 100%.
Wow.
Doesn't shock me though.
I kind of thought he'd go to Tennessee, ain't gonna lie.
I thought he would go to like Colorado, to be honest with you. I figured Deion would go get him. But I guess I was wrong. Well, I guess breaking news live, looks like Barry on Brown, not confirmed, could be going to LSU. But going back to what I was saying, the Kevin Cosapion, or whatever his last name is, from NC State. You've got him. The star wide receiver at Georgia Tech, can't think of his name currently. He entered the portal like 2 days ago. Some guy that you've got to go after, but I know it's going to be hard to get wide receivers when you don't have a wide receivers coach. So we're going to see. I'd like to hopefully get somebody good as a wide receivers coach. I really liked our last one. Hate that he went to Nebraska. But like I said, you're going to have to basically, you're really going to have to rebuild your defense. You lost most of your defense, and you're going to have to rebuild your offensive line. So Mark Stoops has a lot of work to do. A lot.
Christian, was you taking a picture, or do you need glasses or contacts or something?
Yeah, I was taking a picture.
Okay, I was kind of nervous.
I was taking a picture of the Barry on Brown thing, and I was sending it to people to see how legit it is. I don't know if this is a prediction. I think it might be a prediction.
Hey, Kentucky's women's won 87-45 against Queens, by the way. Just figured that.
Heck yeah.
They're ranked 16th.
Yep, they got shot back twice. Can I talk about that just for a second?
You can go for it. I would love to shift gears back to basketball.
That North Carolina game, we couldn't shoot the ball. They got it. Honestly, what's funny, it looked just like the Clemson game for the men's side. Like we got out hustled. We couldn't shoot the ball very well. Like they wanted the game more than we did. Now North Carolina is a very good team. That's why they're, I think, 12 or 13 now. They were 16. They are a really good team, so it doesn't surprise me. But I felt like we got beat way more than we should have got beaten by. We got beat by almost 20. But I mean, this girls team's got a lot to look forward to. They got a rough SEC schedule, just like the boys. Obviously, you got to go through number 1 South Carolina, a top 5 Texas team, a top 5 LSU team, top 5 Oklahoma team. You know that SEC is not going to be easy for it, and the Tennessee girls basketball team is obviously a really good team. But they do have that win against Louisville in overtime 1-10. That was a really good win for them. But they've got a rough road ahead of them, just like the men's team does. So, but I have a lot of confidence in both of them. We got 2 really good coaches on both sides. So not really worried about that. And Kentucky's women's is recruiting like crazy. Let me tell you, 2 5-stars already. Insane.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we have a top 5 shooting guard coming in, a top 20 shooting guard coming in right behind her. So recruiting looks really good, and you keep most of your girls that you've got on the team right now. You lose a couple like Georgia A. Moore and Amelia Hassett, and Lawrence, but you still get a lot of your girls back, which is really good. So,
heck yeah. But you know, Cody, you always have the great stats on women's basketball. We appreciate that because you're a what is it, a basketball Bertha? Is that what it is?
I'm a Bertha, yes.
Yeah, you're a Bertha. So, but as we begin to wind down this episode, you know how we always do with the good old Bible verses. I've already got mine ready.
I got mine.
You got yours? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and start it off. It's Romans 5:8. But God showed us his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. I like that verse just because, like it says, he showed his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. And I think that takes a lot because, I mean, I'm not a father. I can't say I am. So, like, I don't know how it is to, like, be like, hey, boy, go die for all these people.
Hey, boy.
So,
hey, boy.
Like, you know, like,
go take the trash out, hey, boy.
Yeah, like, I couldn't imagine, like, I don't know how it is to have, like, that relationship with a son or, like, just having a child, but, like, being able to look at your son and be like, you have to go die for this entire world. Like, everybody sins, you have to go die for all these people.
Yeah.
And that has to show a lot of love to do that. So, thank you, Jesus, for that. And, yeah.
I guess I'll go ahead. That was really good. I like that, Christian. I'm going to go ahead and go next because I like when Justin goes last. Psalm 18:2, the Lord is my rock, my fortress, my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. I love this verse. It just, always lean on to the Lord. The Lord is the one person that you want to have for guidance. It's the one person I always lean on for every judgment that I make. Always go to the Lord and yeah, that's all I got.
Awesome.
Good deal.
Thanks.
All right, Justin, smoke us both.
No. Romans 8:37, we are more than conquerors through our Lord Jesus Christ. I want to apply this to the game against Gonzaga the other night. It's easy to feel like you're defeated when you look at the first half, but you can never judge a whole game by just one half. And so there are a lot of times, moments where we may feel like we're defeated and just overwhelmed by things going on in life. But don't judge a book by one chapter. Don't judge a game completely by one half. Your feelings can sometimes lie to you. Know that in Christ that you have the victory and you're more than a conqueror. And of course, to be more than a conqueror just means you just overwhelmingly overcome. And so I just want to encourage those that are listening that if you feel like you're defeated, just be rooted and grounded in Christ and know that you have victory in him through all things. Lean on him, trust him. Don't run away from him in your darkest times, most troubling moments in life. Just stand with him because you have the victory in him.
It's awesome, Justin. Awesome as always. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
Wherever you're watching, go share it. If you're listening to this, share it as well on your story or on Twitter, on Facebook. Thank
everything.
You guys for
any kind of social media you got. Go share it. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Oh.